And we are live. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Come on in the room. We are ready. We ready. We have another week of some interesting conversation with Renee Cooper. How is everybody tonight? I have my special guest in the room. It is Mr. Lynn Johnson. Y'all said, who is that? You're going to find out a little bit later. How are you? How are you, my friend?
Doing absolutely fabulous today.
This is lovely. This is lovely. I am so excited that you decided to come on with us tonight. Well, we have been we've had some interesting weeks, and Transparent Thursdays is mainly just an opportunity for people to have a place where they can come in and voice their authentic truths in a very transparent way. That's why we call it Transparent Thursday. So that being said, and we talk on different topics. So generally, I usually ask folks, what topic would you like to discuss? And sometimes it doesn't have to necessarily be personal. Well, 9 times out of 10, most of the time the guests really have a personal experience to share. So that being said, now here's the thing, guys. Well, I'm getting this set up for y'all. I'm doing my small talking, so you can click like and click share. Hello, come in closer so you can see my eyelashes. Click like and share. Let somebody know that we are on tonight, Transparent Thursdays. And this is a good topic. Why some men, not everybody, why some men don't commit or won't commit. That is the topic of discussion tonight. Let me see. Let me make sure that I have done, in fact, the same thing of click, like, and share. And so you guys can come on in the room and in the chat, go ahead and chat it up and let folks know, hey, J. Marcus, I see you today. So that everyone can have an opportunity to participate in the conversation. It's interesting. Some topics, Lynn, I have more gentlemen in the room than the women. And so I'm hoping that the women come on and give me their 2 cents and what for and why, since it really is a topic and conversation that is there for them. So with that being said, I want to welcome you to my platform, all my Facebook fans, my family, my friends, and all those good people. How you doing?
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm doing fine.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. Now, this is the part that you don't know, Lynn. We always have great conversations, and, we have mutual friends and family in common. And I got a few calls like, well, why do you have me on? Wait a minute. So I'm excited about the conversation because when we talked prior and earlier, you had so much wisdom on the fact, I was having my girlfriend chitter chat time. And so we let you weigh in on the topic of discussion. And you had so much wisdom to share. So start out by telling us, I know you're a Washingtonian. I know you're an account executive. I know all that good stuff about you. Your degree, the psychology and sociology major. Lovely, wonderful, great background, wonderful guy. And are you single, Lynn?
I'm single, yes.
Okay, ladies, y'all can inbox me. You would be on our list of good catch. You'd be on a list of good catch. You're such a wonderfully tempered gentleman. Every time we've been at events, family gatherings, you have always been the consummate gentleman, um, great listener, and you just
That's
understand things. Absolutely, absolutely. So I said, hey, let's call Lynn and see what he has to say.
yeah, that was a surprise call for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I like it. Just take it by surprise. Let's grab him by the boots before he has too much time to think about it. So, with all of that entry and everything being said, just tell us what's on your heart at this point in time. How are you managing in COVID?
COVID has been something I don't like, but I noticed that it's actually done a lot of good things for a lot of families and for, I think, for couples trying to see if it's going to work or not, because a lot of people have either been put together to
Mm-hmm.
stay for a while or been separated. So you
Wow.
got two ends of the spectrum going on there.
Yeah.
So I've been coping with it. Just started back to the office, for about 5 months working from home, and working from home is it's okay, but I think you work harder from home than when you're in the office,
I
or for
agree.
me.
I would concur. I think that we definitely are working a lot harder at home. And certainly, I'm just trying to make sure I shared. Let me edit my privacy real quick. The other thing that was an issue that you mentioned immediately that made my antenna stand up is the couples that are either quarantining together or they're separated. And so the separation is of main anxiety at this point. But those who are quarantining together is creating, good, bad, and indifferent situations as well. So I've heard. So,
That's that's true. Well, one of
yeah.
the things I feel when it comes to some of the folks who have been quarantined together, you get an opportunity because you're spending quite a good amount of time together. You don't
Mhm.
really have that opportunity where you're really dating. The guy comes over or the lady comes over, and you're all dressed up all the time, ready to go out or go to dinner or whatever you're going to do, and just kick back. When you're staying together, it's a little different. Sometimes you get a little comfortable, which is a good thing. Over time, you get a little comfortable, and all of a sudden, you notice that different little habits about a person, their grooming.
Yeah.
Um, you kind of you get a chance to, I think, see the real person, because then they start to let some of those barriers down, which is important in actually kind of figuring out who you're really dealing with, what the person's
Right.
really about. And that can be a good thing. On the other hand, you can find out there's some things about this person you really don't like. If that's the case,
Oh
you
no.
just have to be, you got to man up or woman up and just express those things, because there's a possibility that they're not even aware of certain things about themselves.
Yeah.
And it also gives you an opportunity. You can see if that's something you want to tolerate. Some things, some people have a short tolerance in some things. Some people are open to suggestions, and
Yeah.
some are. And some
Wow.
people their bags will be gone, and others will try to ride it out.
Mm, mm, mm.
That's a part of relationships, whether you can ride it out or not, or let it go.
And so speaking of relationships, um, I've been having conversations with lady friends, and the conversation has been intense. I think that the shift of things now has really caused people to, if they felt like they were in love with someone, they really want to take the relationships to the next level. Um, and finding out that next level is not really an option, to sometimes to their surprise, because everything is going well, and now I'm finding out that there's no interest in solidifying this relationship. And solidifying may mean a commitment of monogamy, or it may mean engagement, or it may mean marriage, um, in the eye of the woman. And when she finds out that this dude does not want that committed relationship, she's been going along the whole time. And all of a sudden now we broach the conversation, and now we find out the truth. So with that being said, and I know you don't speak for all men, but from your perspective where you sit, what do you think the biggest misnomer is about men who aren't interested in committing?
Well, I think sometimes the initial impression is what we kind of go on, and that's the looks, the conversation, uh, kind of find out what the person's about. Maybe if they're spiritually or not. Those are the things that are the eye catchers to get you started.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of times in the initial stages of a relationship, you kind of trying to feel each other out. It's just like a boxer. The first couple of rounds, they're not really fighting. They're feeling each other out. They're throwing little jabs and hooks and things like that. In a relationship, in the beginning, you kind of testing the waters a little bit, trying to figure out if there's somebody I'm really interested in. Is this just going to be a casual relationship, or whether I want to pursue it, whether she's interested in me? There's a lot of things that are taken into consideration. Now, I will say there are a lot of times, or there are times when women, I don't want to sound like a sexist, but if the guy is very polite, courteous, respectful, and automatically a lot of women will say, "Oh, this is a good catch. It's a nice guy."
Yeah.
Then we haven't set any grounds or what this is all about. We just testing the waters. We're having fun together. Now, sometimes the woman will, and it can go either way. Um, Feels that there's more to it because the guy's being nice, attentive. We're always like that way in the beginning, just like a woman is very attentive in the beginning. As time goes on, sometimes because women feel the guy is being nice and he appears to be that knight in shining armor, that this is the catch, and they want a commitment. Where there's never been any commitment established in the first place. We're just picking.
Well,
So
how is that ever? That's always the situation where things are misinterpreted. I think that women assume where they need to probably ask more questions that are valid to understand where they are in the process of the relationship as you're kicking it.
well, that's true. That's true. And I think what happens is sometimes I think women make the assumption that everything is going in their direction, that the guy is just totally on board with everything. And if there's no boundaries, nothing has really been talked about, don't assume those things. You have to you have to ask the question. At least ask the question if that's what you're feeling. If you're starting to feel strong ties, you want to you want a monogamous relationship,
Yeah.
you have to, in my opinion, express that. Now, if you express that and the guy says or the other party says, I'm not ready for a monogamous monogamous relationship right now.
Yeah.
Open your ears and let it go into your brain what he said or what she said. I'm not ready. So don't continue to assume this is what's going on when it's already been stated. That's not what I'm into right
Uh-oh.
now. Maybe later on we can. And I'm not, and that doesn't say that he's doing something other than being monogamous, but he's already put out there, no, I'm not ready to be monogamous. And if that's what you're looking for, and you're on the assumption that that's what's going on, then you might be in for a surprise when everything is not going the way you want it to or expected to.
So Lynn, should she immediately when she finds out that 10 dates in, he's not interested in monogamy and we just kicking it and she wants more, is she supposed to just immediately get up and leave?
That's her call. If she feels that she's invested, because a lot of times people say their time is the investment in somebody. If they feel that that's an investment of time and they could move on and do something else instead of seeing where it really can go and if things can change, because things do change. Men, we change. We if we see what we want and it has all the most of what we're looking for in a woman, we can change. We can make a decision and say, hey, let's try this. But don't assume anything, in my opinion.
Woo! So what is actually missing for a guy or let me ask you this way. Is there something missing for a guy if he's not willing to come? He wants to hang out with you. He wants to be with you. But he still wants to make sure that the field is still open and that the options are still there. Is there something lacking or missing for him that will cause him to want to continue in that way?
Well, I think for the most part, we are looking for, and I think we all are doing this. It's not just the men, but we all are looking for what is called the perfect package.
Yeah.
And there is none. You may get, you have to tally up as close to what you want, and you also have to have an open mind for compromise. Can't, compromise is important because a person, there are a lot of things that can affect a relationship. Part of it is exposure. You know, sometimes people are not, they don't have the same amount of exposure or, and when I say exposure, that means to different types of genre of music. It could be plays, it could be travel experiences, educational experiences, and they may not have the same amount or their experiences have been limited. That doesn't mean that they're any less of a person. Sometimes your experiences can help someone else, or you can take them and expose them to some of these other things that you like, and maybe they will become um, interested as well because they just don't know. So there are a lot of nuances in relationships, and I'm just saying that everything isn't going to be in front of you the first couple of dates or weeks of dates anyway, because in the beginning we're all trying the first impression, and that first impression is usually a lasting impression
Yeah.
until things start to get a little sour, and then it becomes, oh, you weren't like you were when I first met you, but we all change. There is a progression of change in a relationship because we start to.
Were they meeting the representative and not the real McCoy?
Well, you see the best. He got his shoes shine, got a nice shirt on, nice pair of jeans or a suit on.
Yeah.
He may look a little different when you see him been out in the yard cutting the grass or playing basketball or something. He looks
Right.
like a different person. It may not be that suave, debonair kind of guy.
Yeah.
So over time, we all start to try to become more of ourselves and not stay on that high level of trying to make sure we say the right thing, make the right moves,
Yeah.
be patient and kind, you know.
Hmm. You were
So,
married before. Um, how long did you date your wife before you got married to her?
well, I dated her all through college.
Really?
Actually, yep, my freshman year. And matter of fact, we got married 6 days after graduation.
What? So both of you
Hmm.
guys were at the same pace in college. You both were freshmen.
Yep, that's right.
Wow.
Graduated together, and then 6 days later, we got married.
Oh my goodness. So I mean, college, Lynn. I mean, college was. I remember college. College was amazing. It was so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
Um, how did you lock in on this one woman as a freshman? I mean, you're out of high school. You're having your college experience, dorm life, parties, this and that. Like, and you singled in on one woman throughout your whole um, BA career. How did that happen?
Well, I don't know. Over time, we were dating, taking classes together. We ended up going to the cafeteria, having, you knew it.
Yeah.
Uh, we had we had a bond, and I guess the summer of my sophomore year, I said, this is the one I want to be with,
Wow.
and met all the criteria at that time.
Hmm.
And so, um, in the summer of sophomore year, got her engagement ring, and the rest is history.
So, what would you say to the ladies as you tell us on occasion? Um, how much time should we give into a new relationship before we decide to exit? If we're determining that it's not going in a direction. I don't think every relationship wants to end in a marriage per se,
Right.
but when you find that there is a good connection, you feel like you're going in the same direction, you feel like it's something there. Um, you're wanting to go the next level with the person. Um, and let's say they have not mentioned it. Um, what's a safe place to say, okay, I think you need to speak up. Like you said earlier, speak up and be clear and don't assume anything.
Right. I think that the key to it all relationships, is open dialogue. You know,
Yeah,
if you can talk with unconditional dialogue with one another, you'll get a sense of where things are and try to be truthful. You know, yeah, I
yeah,
know, and that's important. And be a person of integrity. You just have to pay attention. You listen. You need both sides. You have to be a good listener, because you'll pick up on some things when you see that it's not going in the direction that you want it to go. But you have to listen, but men are very literal about what we say,
yeah,
and it's important that you hear what we say and don't misinterpret or put your own spin on what we're saying.
yeah.
It Take it for what it is.
Hmm.
So
So,
often, so often, and I want to sound sexist, but
uh
there's
oh,
been
here we
there are
go.
times,
Go ahead
there
and lay it on us.
there are times when a man will tell you exactly what what's on his mind, and a woman will say, I'm going to change your mind.
Can we
And
change it?
sometimes you're going to change his mind. And then when you find out the mind has not been changed, then you're disappointed.
Wow.
You're disappointed. So
So hear what
it's
he's saying, because he's telling, at that time, he's telling us his truth. And you're saying if we try to stick it out to shift what he has said as his truth, we're the culprit and we're the loser.
yeah, you're going in the wrong direction. Because if he's giving you the word up of where he is. That's not to say he won't change. If he changes to something you want, that's your benefit. But don't say it's the end of the world when if he decides to say that's not the direction I want to go. It's been nice kicking it with you. We've had a great time. I'm not ready to settle down. Whatever the reason may be, I'm not financially prepared. I may not be ready to really devote my total life, the rest of my life to you.
Wow.
He may say, well, there's some, I'm just not ready. There's some other things out there, other opportunities I want to take a look at. Well, she has the same opportunity too, because once it's put out there, at least you know where it's at. If it's
Wow.
a true open relationship, and that means you have to be able to talk, in my opinion, talk about any and everything. I think so often we get to the point where we are afraid to express ourselves, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's you know there's times when you can disagree and be mad, and it's also time to agree to disagree on something and come back to the conversation another time when things are not so heated. Because a lot of times we misinterpret what's really being said because voices are raised, attitudes are up, anxiety. Sometimes you just need to take a time out for a minute,
Yeah.
address that situation at another time.
So here's the thing, Lynn. Vonda's on, and she posed a good point. She said, we want to connect, and but we fear if we ask you where are things standing, and where are we going with this. Women have a tendency to fear that we're going to come off like we're thirsty, or we're moving too fast, that kind of thing. But we have to ask. So how, because once if the woman has to broach that conversation because the man hasn't brought it up, and it seems like time is starting to continue on with no progression. We don't want to look like, oh, she's thirsty, or here she goes, or we don't want to always put ourselves out there, because now we don't know if he's going to feel like, oh, I got her now, and here comes the game plan. What's the happy medium there?
I think you really have to you have to pay attention. You have to look for the signs, uh, and you need someone that's also willing to share information with you. A lot of times the woman is going to be expressing herself, her feelings, what she sees, where she wants to go, where she sees the relationship going, and men will sit back and just listen and then regurgitate what you spill out there.
Right.
That's not what you want to do. You want to, you ask a question for an answer. He needs to be able to ask you a question and you give an answer. I'm
Right.
not saying, tit for tat, but I'm just saying it has to be a two-way conversation, not a one-way giving all the information. It has to be, you want it to be an open dialogue, and you want to feel that and when I say talk about anything and everything, I
Yeah.
think it's important. So often there are things on, especially on, I will say, for on a woman's mind, because I believe women are more in tune and it's just they're just more in tune to things. I think whether it's around them, their feelings, they're more in tune. Men are not necessarily as in tune, and
Yeah.
so and what I mean by that, sometimes we say we will make a statement as a man, and a woman will take it in a different context because we don't always speak on the same. We say the same words, but we're not speaking the same language at times.
Okay.
Understanding is totally different.
Yeah.
Uh, it's prime example maybe. Um, you call him and he's busy doing something. I'll call you back. You know, I'll call you back in a little while. And a
Right.
woman will say, "Well, dang, it's been 15 minutes. That's a little while." To him, a little while may be a couple of hours. Okay, I'm just saying that as
Or a couple of days or a couple of weeks.
no. If it's a couple of days, a couple of weeks, there's a problem.
That's the problem.
That's a
Okay.
problem. If he's really interested, he's not gonna wait a couple of days or a couple of weeks to get back with you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
He's gonna get back to you within a reasonable time. Unless he's doing something. If he's at work and doing something where he can't really talk to you, maybe just a quick, "Hey, how you doing? I'm busy. I'll get back with you when I'm finished."
So I mean, what about those that don't know how to exit well? Because you see a lot of brothers, they just don't know how to communicate the fact that this is not what I want, this is not working, and so they just sometimes act up so you'll leave the situation. What is it that you feel like men are looking for from women?
Well, men, we're sometimes we're like grown up babies. Okay, we need attention. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
women need attention. Uh, Women need compliments. Men need compliments too. It's nice a man can do certain things, maybe make the yard look nice, and it's like, okay, that's the norm. And don't get any compliments. If a woman fixes a nice meal, she wants to hear, "Hey, that was a nice meal. Thank you. You did it.
Mm-hmm.
You're on your A game. Appreciate it." And I think that men, sometimes you have to cuddle us a little bit. You really do. We like attention. We like affection. Um, and we don't mind doing it. I think sometimes if we're getting, and I'm not saying go overboard, but I
Yeah.
just feel that you need to be yourself. Whatever that is in you that you could give, that you want to share to that man, that's what you do. Be true to yourself because the bottom line at the end of the day, at the end of the relationship, it's all about what you're about. If you are straight up person, you give your all, that's all you can do. And if it's not reciprocated or they don't want it, that's okay. You should be able to say, no problem.
What
It
about
hurt.
the ladies that are, you know, I mean, women are different because they have biological clocks, they have goals, they want to have children, they want to, build a family, they want to do this, they want to do that, and some of those things are around the parameters of time. And so, when women, when they get of a certain age, they have a tendency to be on a schedule. And what does it feel like for a man when you encounter one of those women that's on the schedule?
Well, if you're on the schedule and your schedule doesn't correspond with my schedule, there's a problem. I mean, um, now doesn't mean the schedule is fixed, but I mean, it depends on what needs to be done in the relationship to get everybody on board. Okay. Because the woman may have said, look, I need to have a baby before I'm 25 or by 30. I need to have two or three kids. Like, you know, if the gentleman is not interested in two or three kids at that time,
Mm-hmm.
uh, he may not be the one. If you were really stuck on two or three kids at that time, you have a lot of women now um, who are working. They're trying to go up the corporate ladder. They're trying to get ahead, and children are not primary. They're not. It's not primary to them at that point. They're going to have their children later in life. You
Yeah.
also have men who are younger that ready to start a family. You know, in their 20s, early 30s, they want to start a family. So the kind of thing that can go either direction. You know, men want to have kids young, so they, you know, especially if they have boys, they can play basketball, baseball with them. Women, they worry about the clock, so they want to get the kids out the way, so to speak, and start living the next part of their life. You know.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So
So when I say these things to you, give me what you think men. What's the talk, or what men say about these things when I mention them to you? Her weight,
depending on what the weight is,
size, plump.
you know, it, weight isn't always a determining factor. Okay, it's
Yep.
about. I think it's really about the person themselves.
Are you
If you,
sure, then?
excuse me,
Are you sure about the person themselves? It's not the aesthetic of body type is not important.
body type is important, but I think sometimes because there are a lot of situations where you introduce somebody to someone, a friend, you could introduce a friend, and not even thinking about them being going into a relationship, just meeting a friend. And conversation starts, and you start to find out there are a lot of things about that person that you have in common. You have common goals, and common experiences, or experiences that you don't have, but that other person has that you want to experience. And it
Yeah.
creates a certain type of bond. And all of a sudden, the weight factor, it dissipates. It can dissipate slowly, and it becomes not a factor.
Wow.
Sometimes
Yeah,
it is a factor,
it's a
but
factor with a lot of people that I know.
it
Okay,
can be.
go ahead.
It can be a factor. I mean, you know, a lot of times as men, well, I think women too. It's the first is the outward look of someone. Their how they, you know, we have our. I guess people have their types. One is tall, slim, tall, husky, whatever. You know, women. You know, they have the different types. And men like, you know, some like uh, small women, some like big women. I remember a gentleman that when I had my insurance agency, and one of the things he used to say to me when he would come in, he said, "You know, I have a good time when I go to the party." He says, "But I always go and get the biggest woman in there and start to dance and talk to them, and we have a great time, while all the pretty nice ones, small ones, are sitting on the side of the wall not dancing."
Wow.
You know, and that was he felt that, you know, everybody needs love. So he would go after he liked the big women and they
Mm.
have a great time. So size isn't necessarily the key. I still think the key is about conversation. It's about understanding. It's about sharing. It's about being truthful um, and respectful. And
Yeah.
that open dialogue is so important. And the reason I say the dialogue is so important, uh, it's not always just talking, but we also have to take the time to listen and really listen and understand what's being said. And if you don't understand something, you have to say, don't just go along, okay. And that's what so many people do. They go, okay. And then you ask the person later about it, and they say, well, I don't know what you're talking about. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, why are you saying okay? Because now you don't understand what I'm talking about. Now I'm upset because I spoke to you about something. You didn't take it. You didn't think much of it because you didn't understand it. I got an attitude because now, to me, you weren't being truthful. You were just going along with the program instead of saying, I don't understand. Honey, could you explain it to me?
Wow.
That's why
So
that communication is so important.
yeah, but some men aren't good communicators, and so you get two word. You ask them a question, you get two-word answers, and you you still don't come away with the depth of their feeling. What does it mean to you when I say, what does love have to do with it? Do men need to be in love?
No,
And especially when it comes to commitment, do they need to be in love? Because women are waiting for this, they're waiting for the Hallmark movie syndrome of being in love and him coming and sweeping us off our feet and that whole thing. And when a lot of times most men make decisions, especially when it comes to commitment, um, almost like a business deal. They're dealing with they're working in their brain while women are working in their hearts. So is love on the table for men as it is for women?
love is on the table. Yes, men love. One thing I will say, I think that when a man is really into you and things are going right, a good guy is not anything he won't do to keep you happy. And that's from the heart. That's the love part. You um, a mature person, I would say, a mature man.
Ah, that's a caveat. Maturity.
Yes, absolutely. But during that maturity, I mean, the relationship can grow on both sides. They both can mature together.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a together thing. What about the money? Does she have to make money? Does she have to have some money? Does she have to make more money? Or what is it that she has to bring to the table?
Well, I think see, times these times, especially now, most everybody's trying to work. The woman's trying to work and kind of establish herself, and the men are working trying to establish themselves. Um, Money, finances are important. Can't live without them. I know sometimes women want to figure out how much you're making and what you're doing, what kind of job you got. You got a pension, you got insurance. Um, because sometimes they're trying to figure out where is it worth putting in the time. And some guys are going to say, it's none of your business. This is too soon. Um, and it works the other way around as well. I mean, some guys are looking for a woman to take care of them, but most good men are not. Uh, I say good men. They're not looking for a woman to take care of them.
Yeah. Wow.
But
So,
money is important. I think money is important for a lot of in a relationship because I guess the woman don't want to be paying for all the meals, and the man doesn't necessarily want to pay all the meals sometimes.
yeah.
And
What
then it's Go ahead.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
The money is in today's world is a big thing for
Yeah.
both. Uh, and so often, if a it appears that if a woman is in a high prestigious job, money is very important. She wants her mate to make as much or more than she's making. And sometimes there are a lot of men that have a problem with the woman making more money.
Yeah.
It just depends on where you are in life and what field or what type of work you choose to do or interested in doing as well.
Well, that leads to another question. Strong women, women of influence, the new known alpha female that's she's a leader in her industry and a leader maybe in some organization or what have you. So she's coming to the table as an empowered person and used to calling the shots. How does that fare in relationship? Because a lot of times those women end up being single if they didn't have someone along the way as they grew into those positions. So how does that fare with the gentleman in 2020 and beyond in terms of the strong woman?
Well, there are a lot of men that are intimidated by very aggressive, strong, career-oriented women,
Yeah,
and
I
they,
am.
yeah, so they have a problem because they think that they have no power. They feel like they don't have anything to offer. I think, um,
Wow.
but a lot of times I think the woman that's been working all day and making decisions when she comes home, I think she likes to take that hat off
Yeah.
and just go back to being a regular person. And that's where the man needs to be able to have enough confidence in himself and his ability to comfort his strong wife and support her, and it can work. I mean, it's hard for a lot of men's ego, and it's about the ego. And sometimes you have to be careful because if a woman, I'm just saying from a man's perspective, if a woman is a very assertive person, some men just feel they can't handle it. And if he's not strong enough, it's not going to work. If he's
Yeah.
always he's going to have that attitude and he'll feel his ego has been lessened. He, he loses his self-esteem possibly.
Yeah. How
But you got
how
to have a strong man. If you're a strong woman, you got to have a strong man. That's for sure. You got to have somebody that can balance that out. Somebody can, if you're used to giving all the direction, he has to be strong enough and be willing enough to talk to you. Say, okay, we're not at work. You at home. You with me.
you in with me, strong and strong don't work at home, does it? Alpha
No,
alpha doesn't work together too well. Somebody has to be the beta in the group, right?
somebody. That's where that communication. There again, we have to know where we are. What your strengths are and what my strengths are for
Yeah.
us to get along. And we also have to, there again, have to understand sometimes it's best to disagree but still get along.
Wow. Now you done said something. So we talked about career, we talked about money, we talked about the aesthetics of the weight and the look of the woman and all that good stuff. Now, what about the chick that has kids and let's say they're under 18? How does that fare? Because women with kids want love too. They want a commitment. How does that
Absolutely.
show up for men?
But a woman that has children under 18, the mother's always going to be very cautious and going to be very observant of a man coming into the household.
Yeah.
And they're going to be very observant of the how they interact, how the children interact with the man, as well as how the man interacts with the children. If you got a man that's open, that enjoys children and takes an interest in your children,
Hmm.
it's a good sign. That wants to do things together, not just come to the house, you leave the kids at home, and we all just the two of us, we going on a date. No, he has to. You need someone, want someone that's willing to incorporate the family, your
Yeah.
kids. Okay. But if he's only thinking about we just need private time, I don't think that's a good. That's not going to necessarily be a good thing for you because you're going to always. Well, then you're going to have to try to make decisions between your kids and the man, and it should never get to that point, especially that someone's not the father of the kids.
Yeah. Now, what about the women who have a sordid past? There
What
was a
read my story?
she may be a stripper.
Uh
She
huh.
may be a woman of I don't know. I don't know. Just a lady that likes to change dates a lot. I don't know how to fix it up. But here's the thing. There was a post recently from Erica Campbell, the girl that does the morning show on Praise. And her statement was, you can't really turn a hoe into a housewife. And so I was like, whoa, that was interesting. So what about the woman who's recovering, who, wants to now transition into being a one woman, a one man woman, and you know, she's fluid or open or in those ways. She's dated a lot of people and now she's honing in. Are men willing to make a commitment there?
That's a
Uh-oh.
good question. That's a good question. But men are we're flexible. Okay.
Yeah.
If we can see, especially somebody that's been out there also, that's been fluid, as you said, and they come together and find, you know, they're really trying to make a go of it, trying to make a change in their life to be a better person. Is not they're
Reversing hoes.
running the gamut, and now they just want to have somebody,
Yeah.
a someone they can go home, the same person they can go home to and have a family or just be together. Yes, men can do that,
Yeah.
but then again, the communications we got to there's some a lot of talk that needs to be done to
Wow.
get the confidence on both sides, get
Yeah.
the confidence and get the trust. It's all about the trust in the first place.
Right.
It's mostly about the trust, respect, and understanding, and where the person and be. You have to understand, take in consideration where that person was during that period of time, and also what may be the key why they want to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
And if that change is in line with your beliefs and who you are, it can work.
Wow. What is the biggest fear for a man in terms of not wanting to commit? There has to be a fear factor there, or it has to be a phobia of some sort that is causing him to not be willing to commit. What are the signs that a woman can notice, like in the first 3 months of dating a guy to say, hey, this guy's not serious. He's not ready. He's not. He says he wants to do one thing, but his actions are not showing up as him being ready to commit. What are some of the signs that our ladies need to look for?
Well, one is if he only wants to come over when he thinks it's going to be some bedtime. That is not
Wow.
that's a good thing. Uh,
Netflix and chilling.
that's it. You want someone that that's willing that wants to spend time with you, not always at bedtime. Wants to spend time with you or your children and share you with their friends, meaning taking you out amongst their friends or
Mm-hmm.
family members. Uh, that's sort of you kind of get a gauge that way if he's really interested. And I
Yeah.
think it's really important. You got to get to the point where both sides are introducing you to the family members. That's what's important because
Ooh.
the family kind of solidifies where you are and who you are as a person. Because then you have an opportunity to see some of what goes on in his family as well as he's going to get a chance to see what goes on in your family.
Ah, woo. I don't know. Some people they probably need. I think the meeting the family will probably be a deal breaker, depending on how the family is.
Yeah, well,
Some,
you got some family. You're right. It will be, could be.
yeah, sometimes the families can be a little rough, and they want to take you through a third degree, and they do everything. They want to run background check on you and the whole gamut. I'm like, we just dating. Do you need to know that much?
Well, see, you also have the ability not to answer all the questions when they want to do that home interrogation.
Oh, okay. Well, how do
Yeah,
you, how do you effectively avoid hard questions and not be rude to people?
well, it depends on the question. Certain
Yeah,
questions are not are non-negotiable to family scrutiny. It's
yeah.
between you and the person you're involved with.
Wow. Education versus, you're educated. Dealing with someone that is non-educated, is that a deal breaker?
It can be, but
Hmm.
it just depends on how open the person is. Education, as I stated before, sometimes the education is based on knowledge and exposure and experience. And
Yeah,
if you look across someone who could be very, very smart, very intelligent, they just have not had the exposure, have
right.
not the experiences to make them a better person in your circle. Okay, to fit into the circle that you may travel in. Okay. With that being said, maybe they're open to being exposed to those things, and it's coaching. You got to be willing to help if they're looking to do that, and you just help coach them through it, and you'd be surprised. Um, Sometimes it can grow to another level, and she or he will be forever indebted to you for sharing those experiences and teaching.
Yeah.
So it
Wow.
can it can it can it can work, and sometimes it's a lot of work to do that,
Yeah.
and you got to have a lot of patience, a lot of understanding, a lot of caring, and 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 you in it for the long haul. It's worth doing. And if it makes her happy, make you happy. Try to make each other happy. That's what it's about.
What about age difference, Lynn? 20 years younger, 20 years older, 10 years younger, 10 years older.
Well, age is not a big issue for me. So,
Oh, you're not dating young hotties.
Yeah. See, I mean, it's all about the person.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that it's not so much of the age because unless you a sickly person maybe, then age will probably become a key factor for you.
Yeah.
Someone that is healthy and able to do and go or go please, that may not be a big issue, at least in the beginning. Age differences.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know some women who have dated, oh, well, married, actually, are married to men that are 20 years older, 25 years older, and they have a great relationship.
Yeah.
And I just say, wow. I mean, I give them kudos for doing it.
Mm. Wow. So to sum it up, is it safe to say men will consider committing when they're presented with a person that meets a good amount of their standards, like 80-20 maybe?
Yes, I believe that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that men. I mean, everybody's looking for that. Like I said, the perfect person. There's no perfect, so we try to get as many pieces as possible in making that decision to move forward. What we thinking,
Yeah.
but in that process, there's always change. You know, when people get married, when they first get married, or in the beginning of a relationship, it's all goosebumps and feeling good and lovey-dovey, and then you haven't really put in the work at that point. The work comes in when things aren't as you know you have those bad days or sick days. You
Yeah.
know those are turbulent times, so to speak. That's
Without,
where when work comes in.
but without a commitment, how much work should you put in before you get to the place of commitment?
Well, I think if it's really something you want, you put in the work all the time. You put in the work from the beginning to the end, whether it goes any further or it stops. It
Mm-hmm.
long, that's why I say you have to be true to yourself. If you
Yeah.
about putting it all in, you put it all in. If you about half stepping, then you're gonna half step.
Yeah.
So, and I think when you do that, ultimately you're gonna be satisfied because the person that has to be satisfied is you. You have to be satisfied with who you are, what you think about, and that you've done the right thing. If you've done all the right things and it still doesn't work out, shame on them. I'm okay. My heart may be broken, but it can be fixed. It can mend. Time will mend it, and I'll keep on moving.
Oh my God. He said, if the heart is broken, it can be fixed. Oh my goodness.
That's right. And,
That is true.
and a lot of people, there are a lot of broken hearts. Men get their hearts broken just like women. It's not just women getting their hearts broken, but men get their hearts broken as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like anything else. It's just like a baby when it falls, we get back up. We have to do the same thing.
Wow.
Life doesn't life doesn't end on one note.
That's a good thought. Life doesn't end on one note. Wow. So, what about, we didn't talk about this new set of women who are relationship less. And that would be a good amount of women in the church.
Okay.
And, a woman that, in my opinion, this is my observation, a woman that is in the church that is single having a hard time. Not all of them, I think maybe 1 in 4 women get married. So, it's that other 3 that, are looking. How can we encourage their hearts? Because I think that there's somebody for everybody.
Well, I believe there's someone for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and I think mm, it, you want to find somebody that I know they say equally yoked, and sometimes that's a problem. Um,
Yeah.
and a lot of men aren't equally yoked to the extent of a woman because I think that for women, um, I just feel they're more religiously guided, and I
Right.
think more women tend to stick closer to the church than men. We stray away. Whether it's on Sundays we want to watch football games, so we don't go to church, or playing sports in the morning, we don't want to go to church. So it can present a problem for trying to make that connection with a woman, a church woman.
Yeah.
But that's not to say they can't have that relationship and get married. I think that so often women have to stick to understanding what you want. It's not always, um, or you have to set your standards, whether they're your values, if they complement your religious values.
Yeah.
A man will understand. A good man that's interested in you is not going to try to put you beyond into something that you out of your religious values,
But
because
here's the thing.
ultimately,
Let me ask you this, because this is interesting. They won't they'll respect your values. However, they will still have somebody else on the side that don't have that same set of values, even though they want to keep you on the forefront because they have an intention with you. But in the meantime, it's what they do behind the scenes. I've seen that play out in some folks' lives, and that is a little disheartening.
well, that applies to all relationships, all types of relationships, whether you're a church person or not.
Yep.
Those
Yeah.
things go on. That's the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, church women are very loving and caring. Um, Sometimes some women can be overbearing when it comes to knowing the Bible and verses well, and start spewing those verses out on the guy. It either messed up when the Lord said thus and so. That can be a turn off.
Uh-oh.
On the other hand, it may be that, hey, we need to get into this Bible together.
Yep.
I would like to invite you to Bible study with me. Not just go to Bible study. To go to Bible study with me.
So that's what they call that, evangelism dating.
Yeah, you can call it that too. But you're trying to get what you're trying to get. You're trying to stay where you want to be um, in that group. And you do
Yeah.
what you do. That's in that's a part of it.
That's
And you
so
don't want to change you. You want you there again. You want to be who you are, and if that's what you are, you want that man to see who you are.
yeah.
And
Oh
hopefully he sees
Lord. My
men
goodness.
are looking for men are looking for church women too. So it's
They
not a
are.
one way street. Absolutely,
Did y'all hear that, ladies? Liz said that the men are looking for church women. What?
absolutely, absolutely.
I know I have a plethora of some powerful, anointed ladies, beautiful, have nice jobs and everything. What in the world? Where y'all at? Come inbox me. Let me introduce you.
We're not all heathens. We like a spiritual, strong woman as well.
Okay.
We look for a strong spiritual woman, especially when it comes to raising children.
Yeah.
We want to have that good foundation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think that men are looking at you. Just keep on looking pretty.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know how. Sometimes men are sort of intimidated on a strong woman. They become intimidated, but give them time. It's okay that you say, "Hey, how you doing?" You can introduce yourself too.
All right. What? So it's not a bad thing if we're forward.
Look, if it's you see what you interested in and what you like, we're not always going to know until you open your mouth. The same
Mm,
way for a guy, if he wants to make that move, he's going to say something to you. Sometimes some men are afraid, like I say, especially if you're a strong, outwardly progressive woman.
yeah.
Some men are going to sit back, they're going to watch, and they're going to want, and they just don't have they're afraid to go to take a step forward to ask you. And then once she asks or you ask him, it breaks the ice, and then all of a sudden you can start talking. Open
Yeah.
up that,
All
you
right.
know,
Tori says
gotta have
that's
an
what
icebreaker.
she
That's all. You break the ice.
what you say, keep looking good.
Keep looking good. That's right.
All right, I'm gonna do what I can. That's a whole lot of work. Now, is all that looking good intimidating to a guy? Because she got her nails done, she's got her hair whipped, her makeup is flawless, her clothes look good, she has a nice bag, and she's driving nice, and all of that carrying on. Is he looking at her saying, "I can't afford that chick"?
Some are. Some are saying they can't afford it. You're
Yeah.
right.
Now, what
Now,
about
if you're a strong man and that's what you like, what you see, and it
yeah?
looks and you're interested in, you go beyond that.
Uh huh.
But that's a strong man.
Well,
But that's
Tori, she said, Tori said she gonna go grab him by the neck. Tori, don't be grabbing nobody by the neck,
no,
please.
no, it's not a
That's
good
a
thing.
little too much.
Just put your hand on his shoulder,
Uh huh.
not the neck.
Okay, just touch him
Just,
right
just
here.
touch him on
Well,
the
hello.
shoulder.
How are you?
Right. I need to talk to you.
Oh, I need to talk to you. So,
That's
what
it.
should we say, Lynn? If so, okay. So let's role play here. I see the guy, and I'm like, oh, I like him. And so he doesn't say anything, and I'm looking and I'm smiling.
Is he
And
looking and smiling too?
sometimes he's looking, but he's not necessarily smiling. So I've got to walk over to him and touch him on the shoulder.
No, you don't have to walk and touch him on the shoulder. You can just walk up to him and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm a Renee. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Okay. And then, so am I supposed to give him my number or I'm supposed to wait for him to ask?
No, you're not gonna give him your number. No, no. You
So,
just you
you
just
gonna say hello and I've introduced myself and then I walk away?
well, you can say well, you may have someone you look nice in you got a nice outfit that you have on. You're looking pretty dapper today, or
Okay.
we're talking church, right? We are talking about at church.
Well, maybe not church. I mean, well, we can't go to church so much right now, but I'm just
Well,
saying in general.
well, what I'm alluding
I
to
say
is,
he looks nice.
well, you can say, are you involved in any activities in the church? If
Okay.
you're just church, uh,
Start having a conversation with the dude.
yeah, just a little light conversation, nothing heavy.
Okay. Y'all hearing this
At that
later?
point, then you kind of give him an opportunity to go a little further.
Okay, now if he starts giving you those one word type answers, then I'm probably gonna walk away and be like, listen.
But that's not gonna work with me.
Tori said just introduce the chase. Is that what we
Yeah,
do?
that's all. That's all. I mean, if you're going to get this, well, let me back up. Some guys are not well versed, and that's how they talk. It's just real direct. Yes, no, maybe so. That's it. And if that's not your kind of guy, then you keep on moving. It was just an introduction. I got a snapshot of you, and that snapshot was not good enough. And it's okay to walk away. That's
Deuces.
it. That's it. But see, on the other hand, maybe the next time you go to church and he see you, now you might say, "Well, I can open. I'm gonna open up. I'm gonna ask her. I'm gonna talk to her."
So, are you a big component of, I've heard other people say, you have to go where men are. So, like on Sunday when it is the game, you may want to go to the sports bar to eat dinner. Is that true?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we don't have to go where they are. We don't have to go try to play golf and look like a fool. We don't have
No.
to go to the sports bar. Um, so, outside of church, it's kind of, where is the place? Where are the ladies supposed to go and connect so they can find out if this child wants to commit this man?
Well, during COVID is really difficult.
It is. So, but wait a minute, Lynn. It's a ton of online dating right now. Like online dating. Okay, so here's the thing. This is a little caveat. If you want to know where to invest your money, you have to look at what's hot. And that's my opinion. One class I took, they said, you can start investing in where you shop, like what the things that you like. But I can tell you this right now, you should be investing in some of those online dating sites because they are going through the roof. Like right about now, virtual dating is at an all-time high. They're doing very, very well. So what about this online dating? I mean, like at what point do you come offline and get in person? Cause see
After a
that's
lot of dialogue,
tricky.
after a lot of dialogue, because they got this thing called what, catfishing. But I guess it depends on the website that you're on, the dating site that you're on.
Yeah.
I'm going to some very detailed questionnaires to really try to pair you up. Some sites, I think it's just, sometimes it's a picture or you give a little bio and that's it. And you just
Yeah.
fend for yourself. But I would say, I mean, there are a lot of online dating services that have created a lot of matches made in heaven. So,
True. I
uh,
know a few. I do know a few. I do know a few couples who met online and they're married.
well, there again, it's probably the questionnaire, the matching up, matching up the interests, the things that are they want to do, their future, their present, their exposure, their experiences. When you add all those things up, and with the algorithms and things that they use now, they can probably come up with a person that is pretty similar to what you're
Yeah,
looking for, which makes it a little easier. And I think once you start those, I don't know, Zoom conversations, you have a
yeah.
chance to feel that person out a little better. So during this period of time, Zoom and FaceTime, and that's the way to go. Good chance to see the person and talk to them.
At what point is a background check necessary for people now?
I mean, people, some folks, as soon as they get the name, a background
Do
check
the
is done,
background check. I'm like, my goodness, what in the world?
I mean, everybody's so
CIA.
afraid of stuff,
I
They
thought we
don't
were
want to
going to go
know
to
who
dinner to eat breakfast, and you did a whole background check. What in the world?
you are. That's the time we're in. A lot of people are doing it, especially I think people who are in high-paying jobs and they're worrying about their financial uh, situation.
Yeah,
They have a tendency to do background checks to make sure you're not some kind of con artist trying to
exactly.
you know, get something for nothing,
Yeah, I got you.
which is part of what's going on. There's a lot of fraudulent things going on, and people trying to protect themselves. It's just like spam, and you get a lot of that stuff on your email, you put in the trash. So people are trying to do background investigations. If they need to, put you in the trash and move on.
That's tough. Well, I'm trying to tell you. I think that all in all, um, I hope we answered the question of why some men won't commit. Um, so according to Lynn, life according to Lynn is that there's a level of communication that needs to take place. And when you find out his truth, believe him. And if you don't like what the truth is, you have to leave him. That's just, it's so cut and dry. And that's so heart wrenching for a lot of ladies. But I guess that is what it is.
Like I say, we're more literal when we speak.
Yeah.
Women are more emotional when they speak. In my
Hmm.
opinion.
My God.
And
Well,
there is a middle ground there. There's middle ground there, but a lot of times when a man tells you, he mentions what it is, pretty much what it is.
wow. And you can't really change it, right?
You, it can change. It can change, but for the most part, if you're expecting big change when he tell you something different, unless there's something that you've done that really excites him and it takes care of what he's looking for, his needs, whether it's conversation, your exposure, your education, the type of job, the communication. If all those things are in place that he thinks are in place, what he wants, and his heart can start to grow, it'll happen. It'll happen.
Wow. There it is, ladies. We answered it. I hope y'all like the answer. Lynn, I'm telling you, you're amazing. You're so calm, and we could just talk forever. But you did the thing. You took us over our time. We 25 minutes over the hour,
Oh,
just chit chatting and
just
sipping tea.
well, just trying to share a little bit of wisdom and experience, and hopefully it answers some questions for some folks and give them hope and maybe change the direction that they may have been seeking to get what they're looking for.
I know that you have sons. What have you told your sons in the process of them, dating and, potentially finding mates in terms of commitment? What have you trained your sons to look for, and, what type of man to be in women's lives?
Well, I think for the most part, the type of life that I live, I set the example for them. And I also told them to be very, you don't hit on women, you be respectful of them, and it's easier to walk away than have a confrontation. Take the high road. Be courteous, um, and be protective. Protect whoever you're involved with, and just be a man. Just walk the walk and talk and be straightforward. I have two sons that are married, have lovely wives and families.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're doing well. They're doing well, and they've from time to time asked my opinion about how things should go, or try to get some of my some exposure that I have or experiences that they relate to me, and I guide them. Just give them some advice. Just
Yeah.
give them little nuggets that they take for themselves. They raise their family and they handle their relationship with their wives.
Wow.
I don't. I didn't say this is the way you have to do it, but I think that that was done from the example that I set. And it,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't something I had to preach to them. It was just something that they did.
By observance too. I think that
But
when kids have a good balanced environment, they do well and they perform well, and you get good results. So that's exciting. I think that we're going to have to lean on you again. It's amazing that you've been able to share with us and give us some good insight that wasn't too left wing or right wing or weird. My last question of the evening before we leave is this: are you familiar with MGTOW? Men going their own way. MGTOW. Men going their own way, meaning that they're not committing. They're pretty much just hooking up women for needs of sex, and that's pretty much it. But they're making their own money, building their own lives, and they are not carving out space to have a woman in their life. And it seemed to start to come on the rise. I guess the end of 2019, 20, yeah, somewhat in last year sometime. And it's the younger guys that have adopted this new semi movement. What do you think about that?
I don't think it's a good movement, quite frankly. I mean, I guess,
It's
I guess
it's pretty
it's
much
really,
the opposite of the feminist woman who feels like, she doesn't need a man. She can take care of herself. She's got this, she's got that. She can do it all her own. And she has a battery operated boyfriend. So she doesn't really need a man, you know. And so now these guys are taking up this same concept.
well, I think that concept they're going to burn out kind of soon, kind of quick.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's just a latent period of trying to, get your notches in on the belt before
Yeah.
you settle down. Eventually, they're going to, you may be running hard trying to acquire all these financial things or possessions, but you still need a woman, and
That's right.
a good woman that you really you want to love, and she love you. So at some point, that's going to stop. You will come around.
That's what my friend on Periscope says. He says they're going to lose out on a good woman, like you just said, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's a
that.
crapshoot that they're taking, and life is too short. We need to
Indeed.
respect one another and just And don't be afraid. There's too many other things to be afraid of. You don't need to be afraid of each other.
Wow.
And we should be afraid of being open to love and caring. And unfortunately, there's so much negativity, disasters that are going on. It almost puts your whole mind and body to sleep. But we all got to wake up, and we also have to do what is God's plan as well. You know, we still got to have that spiritual need, and we need to feed each other and service one another in the way that God would like us to, wants us to.
Yeah. Wow. That's a great note to end on. Lynn, this has been great. I
But
think that the listeners and the replay people are really going to glean and gather some nuggets and, some food for thought moving forward. Thank you so much for joining Transparent Thursday.
it was my pleasure being asked. It was a pleasant surprise.
Excellent. Well, I will talk with you again soon.
All right.
And to all of the listeners, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part. And I will see you next week. Next week is Thanksgiving Thursday. So I'm trying to debate on if I'm going to open up the room and let you come on and talk about thankfulness for Thanksgiving Thursday. I mean, it's going to be a weird Thanksgiving because we can't gather, or they're not recommending large gatherings as we normally would do with families and so forth. So it's going to be a new holiday this season. But with that being said, all my love goes to everyone that is watching. God be with you. God be for you. God be within you, and God be encamped around you. Until we meet again, I'll see you next week. I'm A. Renee Cooper. Good night.